Hello and welcome to the second part of me making a Walking Woodcrafters sign for my carving room. In part one I made a start by carving in Walking Woodcrafters in text on this piece of cherry. So after the initial carving down at Larne, I went back to my carving room and tidied up the letters using various tools. It's good to spend a bit of time getting it right here. So for the second part of this series, I went to Kidwelly Bay on a breezy, blustery day. I like to get outside to carve as much as possible because the light is so much better outside and we enjoy being out in nature. The plan is to carve in these footprints and these paw prints using similar techniques to I did last week on the lettering. I'll be marking them out again using carbon paper. Again, spending a bit of time here makes your life easier when you're doing the carving. Right, this is all marked out now, ready to carve. I've gone over it again in pencil just to really make it ping so I can see it and there's no mistakes. If you look here on this one here, this is marked out of how this is actually going to carve, because this is just chip carving really in effect. So these are the cuts that will actually be made, so it will look like this. You'll have a line at the bottom. These are simple chips and these are tiny little chips. And then these ones over this side, the paw prints, these are done with small gouges. Just before I start carving, I just wanted to talk about these. They're my Mad Professor spectacles. I've got perfect vision 2020, so the opticians tell me. But these really do help when you're doing really tiny stuff like these bits here. Let's grab a pencil. These bits here, to do them, you can do it without, but if you've got these on, you can actually make a really nice job of it. And if it looks good with these on, in my theory, when you take these off, it should look really good. So that's those. These ones come with about 5 different lenses. This is the middle lens, but they're really useful for all sorts of things, changing batteries on things and stuff like that. Even comes with a headlight, which I don't actually use. In the description I've listed all the tools I've used for this carve. So I've just finished the footprints, needs a bit of a clean up and needs the ink taken off. I'll just sand that over with probably a bit of 600 or something just to take that off. And then I'm moving on to the paw prints, which I've made a start on, and I'll just show you how I do that. I've got two of the small Flexcut gouges, and I've picked the correct sizes and brought them with us. So to do this bottom one, I use the larger of the two gouges. I come in and then twist. Just tidy that up. So that's the pad done. So then I use the really tiny one for this, and it's just a bit of chip carving really. So go in, 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 back the other way, in, 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 and in. You have a paw print. Quite how Shaq thought this was going to be comfortable, I'm not sure. Bless him. That's pretty much finished now, just needs to be tidied up, sand off all the ink and the overspill and things like that. And then what I tend to do with signs like this is, if it's a big sign, I paint black or white inside the actual carving itself. But with smaller stuff like this, what I tend to do is to use a dye, a wood dye. So I'll take this back to the carving room now and I'll show you how we do that. I'm back in the carving room now and I've had a chance to do a few more bits to the sign. Here I'm drilling the 10mm holes to install the brass screw cups. Final sand over with a belt sander. 320 grit gives quite a good finish. Just going over the carving now for a final tidy up. Now that's done, we need to make the letters and the carving on the sign pop. And to do that, we need to make them darker than the sign itself. And what I use is a dark wood stain and a tiny paintbrush and paint in the letters. Once that's dry, I'll go over the top with a final sand and then we'll treat it with a wax oil over the top of that. Going to leave that now for a couple of hours to fully dry and then I'll sand it over again. So that's the sign pretty much finished now. I've installed the screw cups, that's these little brass cups, and that's been pressed into either end, so that's to take the screws. It's been sanded and it's buffed up to this finish that you can see here. So all that's left to do now is to apply the wax oil. The wax oil butter that we use is a blend of tung oil and beeswax that we make ourselves. So we'll apply some of that now. That's ready to go up on the wall.